Listen here, neighbor dog who likes to bark every morning for no apparent reason. You don't sound interesting or smart or funny.
Good thing you're not dating. Galoshes are cool, but I miss you something fierce. Street shoes and sidewalks.
Ugh, I do like how galoshes keep my shins warm, but their lack of arch support makes me walk like a confused robot.
Sexy. It's normal to have panic attacks when you run out of your favorite snacks, right? I wish I knew how to quit you, Sesame Blues.
I love the blues. Have such a good day. We didn't see you there, but since we're all here, welcome to have such a good day. The show that wants you to do just that. Heather Frank, guess what today's episode is?
What? Palindrome?
It is.
Your favorite thing in the whole wide world?
181. We haven't had this in 11 episodes, and boy, are my arms tired.
11. You counted. I love it. Hey, Have Such a Good Dayers. What is up?
What is up?
We are pretty pumped over here in the Have Such a Good Day land, as we like to call it.
Yeah.
And we're quite cold. It's a very long, drawn-out winter where we are. I don't know what it's like where you are, but boy, are we chilly.
We are, yeah.
Sarah and
Heather
I are
has had some
up.
snow. We haven't had any snow here, but we've had quite a bit of hail. Northern California is just like, I don't know. I looked at my my weather app for I was about to say for the first time this morning. I look at it like 14 times
18 times a day.
Yeah, but I did first thing in the morning. I'm always just sort of like, okay, if it's gonna rain, where's the respite? So I can walk the dog because he hates the rain. It's a whole thing. We're both muddy and just cold all the time. And it's like, you've got like a couple hours today, and then for the next 7 days, more rain.
Yeah, like none. Like you don't even have 5 minutes.
And, I always say this, if you live in a climate where it rains all year long, you're like, why is it so weird that it's raining? It's not actually that weird that it's raining in March. I mean, we're early spring, right?
We also need it. Yeah.
Yeah. It's California in a drought. Always, that's what you always
Perpetual
say.
drought.
We need the rain. But it's been a pretty dreary 6 weeks or so.
It really has. And it's not just for NorCal. Like even down in Santa Cruz and some like central, even Southern Cal on some level, even though they are experiencing more sunshine this week. But if y'all are tuning in for the very first time, this is a friendly reminder that this is the show that unpacks the absurdity of everyday life for your entertainment. And then there's like a little bit of small talk in between and, just what's going on in our lives.
We're going to get absurd and then we're going to do some small talk. I mean, who wouldn't want to listen to a podcast like that? Hey, Heather, life is weird. Guess what I ate for breakfast?
I know, it's so funny. You've really riled people up in the Discord with your cottage cheese recipe.
Oh, man. Y'all, okay, so... I don't like to spill the tea too much on our Discord because, it's a safe space. And if you're in the Discord, it's because you want to be. But I mentioned on the show, and then, we talked about a little bit in the Discord afterwards, people being like, cottage cheese and eggs, Sarah? Like, what planet are you on? No, you don't throw the cottage cheese into the cast iron, fryer with the eggs. It's just something that you kind of like, you add as a amuse-bouche,
and yes, an amuse-bouche. See, here's the thing about cottage cheese. It's not cheese, but it is a savory side dish.
It's dairy.
Probably
it's definitely
eat
dairy.
It with anything, though. I mean, really, if you think about it, like I scoop it up on crackers, I scoop it up on Sesame Blues
all the time.
You'd be surprised. Try it. Just try it before you judge. Sure. I'm trying to be better about that. And I can't get enough of those Sesame Blues, man. It's so funny because I ran into a friend in LA last time I was there, and it was so funny. We weren't even talking about chips or food or anything, but she goes, Sesame Blues, those are like a total game changer.
You're like, me too. For anybody who's not familiar, they're tortilla chips.
They're blue chips. And they're round.
They're blue,
and
so
they're full of sesame seeds.
It's like the blue chips, but same idea. But these are sesame based, I guess.
Yeah.
They're a little bit rounder, but like whatever. But
They're
they're
fully round,
uh,
Sarah.
they're they're rounder than a triangle, I
There's
guess.
nothing not round about them.
But they're just so good. I had this sesame blues I've always liked. Actually haven't bought them in a while, so I'm glad you reminded me about them. But for a while,
You're too
same
busy
company.
eating Triscuits.
Oh God, the Triscuits. I had to take a little bit of a break because Triscuits and cottage cheese, hear me
Oh, yeah.
out.
Great combo.
I mean, you have to
Yeah, no,
season the
I'm
cottage
with you.
cheese a little bit, like put a little Italian seasoning on it, or whatever it is, that strikes your fancy.
Everything but
Maybe
the bagel.
everything but the bagel and the girl. But oh yeah, I mean, cottage cheese and chips like all day. We are done. We are
Yeah.
good here. But I
Oh,
used
that's
to be.
lunch.
Oh, it's dinner. It's breakfast. I will be sustained for quite some time,
Yeah.
with just a couple ingredients. But
Truth.
I had a addiction to the Red Hot Blues, same company,
Oh, I like those. Yeah.
and they're not like
They should
they're
add
not
sesames.
spicy to the point where
They'd be better.
your face is gonna fall off, but they are pretty spicy.
They got a
You
kick.
you have to, hence the name Red Hot. But there was one, I don't remember what the situation was, but it was like, maybe there was like a really important football game, or maybe it was the Oscars. There was some reason where like I was getting together with some people, and we were all bringing snacks, and I was like, I'm gonna bring my Red Hot Blues, and for whatever reason, and salsa and whatever else I was bringing, probably guac, and for whatever reason, I just like wasn't paying attention at the grocery store, and I ended up getting the unsalted blues.
Ooh.
Which are, listen, if you're trying to cut down on sodium or you don't like salt, great option. Not what I meant to buy. And everyone was just sort of like a couple people like ate the chips because I was like, they're so good, aren't they? And they kind of looked at me like, they're kind of interesting in a bland way. And then I realized, oh man, I got the unsalted non-hot blues,
Well, I was really
which
pleasantly
gave everybody the
surprised
blues.
recently. I got like a blood panel or whatever, just for just general health stuff, and my
Yeah.
sodium was like totally legit. It was fine, and I kind of thought, ooh, maybe I've been overdoing the sesame blues, but nope. I think my sodium is on point, and but I guess we digress. Sarah, how's your week going? Other than your fancy little kitchen creations.
My kitchen creations. Oh man, and I had a good one this morning. But yes, I'll save this for the Discord. How's that for a tease, everybody? But it has been a pretty fun week. I
Wow.
did some
You tell.
Heather and I, depending on the week, sometimes we like trudge into the show and we're like, "How's everybody's week been?" Because ours has been sort of the same old same, and I actually had a pretty, fun week. Like, went to a couple restaurants that I don't normally go to, and, took
got
a
out.
drive that I don't normally take, and, just kind of like practice some spontaneity, which is, that's easy to do. And I think that, I am very guilty of just being like, no, that sounds fun. And I'm very spontaneous, but like not right now.
Yeah.
Right now, I'm just going to like stay
That means
the
you're
course.
not spontaneous, doesn't it?
Which, yeah, exactly. It's sort of like, I liken it to the whole like, well, I'm going to do that big project, but like not today, just tomorrow. Because like right this second, it's easier for me to just do the same old same. But at the same time, sometimes that gets you down a little bit.
Yeah.
So especially, we've been having this kind of rainy weather, and, dark clouds are
Good
awesome.
to change it up.
Yeah. And, I always tell myself, I'm like, oh, I love a rainy day as long as I'm just sort of like cozied up inside with some snacks. I don't want to do anything crazy outside. But you do that long enough and you're like, oh man, I mean, I have nothing to show for nothing interesting happened to me over the course of, the last 7 days because I didn't do anything. So anyway, it's been a fun, just kind of, just living life type of week. But
Good.
thank you. So on Sunday, a couple days ago, took a drive up the coast, a little farther than I would normally go, like not that far, like not up to where you are, Heather. Although I did think of you, I was like, I just keep driving. Eventually, I'm going to hit Heather's house.
Yep, you
But
would.
it was it was up north a bit, and this is not like some like fancy experience where I had to like be dressed up or anything. Very much not the case. However. I haven't talked about like the cancer stuff in a while, and I won't go into that too much because there's nothing terrible to say, which is obviously great news. But some
Very.
of my residual kind of weirdness of coming off the chemo, we're going on 5 weeks, which, since I started chemo, I never had 5 weeks in between treatments. So now I'm just, it is on the horizon, slowly going away to the point that I won't see it anymore. But I'm further away from my last treatment than I've been before. So a lot of the, kind of like you feel nauseous, or you have to be in the bathroom for a while, and just like all sorts of just like horrible things. Your bones ache or whatever. You lose your hair, all that stuff. Most of that it's going to take a while, to kind of bounce back, but it is in the rear view mirror, and I could not be happier about that. But, and this is something that was told to me that sometimes people experience, is that hair loss. That's a big part of it, and I told y'all on an episode some time ago that I put in some money, time, and effort into what's called a cold cap to save my hair. It saved probably about half of it, enough to be able to just kind of live my life. So I didn't lose all of it, but I did lose a lot of it. But you don't do that for other things on your body that produce hair, like armpits or legs or, other regions, wink, wink. But like going back to the face, eyebrows, eyelashes, like it's all hair. Even though, it grows in different ways, different consistency, all of those things. So the hair on my head was, really important to me. And I'm in a pretty good place. I'm like, all right, if I can live this way for a while until what has fallen out grows back, and it's going to take some time, we're talking years. If you want it to, something grows out of a follicle down to like past my chin, that's years.
Yeah.
But okay, let's get it going. And until very recently, everything else, like eyebrows, eyelashes, had stayed pretty, they stayed consistent. And I think, I don't know, like, I don't quite know how to say this, but I know that in my experience with people who have not just cancer, I mean, you might have like alopecia or, some other, condition that affects growing of hair on your body in various places. You can kind of look at somebody and be like, oh, yeah, you look a little different, and I'm not totally sure why, without knowing a little bit more about your situation. And I realize that the eyebrows and the eyelashes have a lot to do with that. But I
Wow.
never really thought about it because I was always so concerned with the hair, my scalp hair. So the eyebrows and eyelashes held steady. I've lost a little eyelash, but very little. Like you put mascara on my eyes and it's like, I can see like a couple bald spots, but nobody else would. Eyebrows, different story. And boy, did they wait. They waited till the very end to just be like, bye, we're out of here. And it kind of happened like over the course of like a week where I was like, oh, my eyebrows are looking slightly sparse. Oh gosh, I don't really have any eyebrows anymore. There's like a little bit there, but it's for the most part, it's as if I shaved them off.
Wow.
Yeah, and don't like it. Luckily, as anybody who is familiar with eyebrows knows, you can, keep your eyebrows as is. You can pluck them, you can trim them, you can draw them in, add a little, creative eyebrow pencil. Lots of options there. And normally my eyebrows were always pretty like, I don't know, they just sort of hung out, I felt like they were in a pretty good shape. Like maybe I would like slightly trim here or there, but they were never like so much that I just basically left them alone. The better part of my life. And to have them like all of a sudden be like, well, you can leave them as is, and then maybe people will think like you want them to look this way and without context. I almost want to like have like a little, like something on, like a little sign, that I'm wearing around my neck that says like, hey, I know they look weird. Here's why. Like I just don't want you to think that I like plucked them to look like this, because that
like
would
to
be
do
very
it on purpose for a style.
yeah, like and like it's nobody's business, of course, but
Well,
how
I
it
see you
is.
right now, and I can't really tell. I know we're on video, but
Because I'm wearing lots of eyebrow pencil, Heather.
so there's like no eyebrow hairs at all whatsoever. Or there's
No,
like a
no,
few?
there are some.
There's a few. Okay.
There are some. Yeah, like if I were to, let's say I'd, scrub my face, start from scratch, you wouldn't say like, oh, she has no eyebrows, but you'd say they're in a funny pattern. And it's as if she plucked them to be like almost like there's nothing until like the outside of her like, eye itself.
Yeah.
It's just not a great look.
Yeah.
So,
Well, you have a great attitude about it. I have
Well,
to say, you do.
Well, here's why. So, sure. I mean, because what else are you gonna do? But
Yeah,
here's why
exactly.
I'm not like too upset about this. First of all, this is all for the most part, and this is chemotherapy, and everybody who's been through it will tell you this. For the most part, this is all temporary.
Yeah.
There sometimes, in certain cases, there is permanent hair loss, which you can get from. I mean, you can get that from pneumonia. Where
Yeah.
like your body is just kind of like doesn't
Genetics.
fully bounce back, or genetics, or age, or many things. So when I put my contacts for my eyes in the morning, I use this like exaggerated magnifying mirror just to like make it easy. So it's like pop, pop, pop. We're done. But what that also works for is looking at pores very closely. If you
I
feel
don't
like,
like those mirrors.
well, I don't like them either, but I'm like, I'd rather have reality than not.
Yeah. Yeah.
Show me what's really going on. You want to give myself a mini facial. This is the mirror to have.
Sure.
And I can already see from the eyebrows that like recently just like dropped off the face of the earth. I can see it's almost as if I shaved them, and I can see the eyebrows coming back. They're just like tiny little nubs, because they're coming back
Yeah.
from scratch, as if I plucked
cute.
them. Yeah, so I'm like, you know what? We're gonna be okay. We're gonna be
There's
okay.
hope. It's
Give
like
me-
you're a little. It's like you're those the tulips right now are like they're kind of coming up out of the ground, but they're
Yeah,
not fully
exactly.
formed yet.
I'm like a tulip. Give me 4 to 6
You
weeks,
are.
and we're gonna look amazing.
And it's good that it's winter. You can just hide out and just do your thing. I mean, you work from home, which is probably good because you don't have to like primp yourself to go out into the world very often, which I'm really grateful for. Although sometimes it is really nice to just get up and go and put street clothes on and real shoes, not galoshes or I don't know, like pseudo slippers. I'm going to be really excited about a new season. This is quite a long stretch, but I think we're in the home stretch. I noticed the
we have had
it's getting
we've had-
lighter.
Yeah, I mean, listen, it's California, so I mean, it could be worse, but it's been a kind of a crazy winter. And I feel like
has.
weather itself is crazy, and that's just reality.
Erratic,
Maybe you
yeah.
like it, maybe you don't, but it's
Yeah.
reality, and it has been weird. But it also, yeah, like there's so much more, like you're saying, like I just want to wear, these shoes that I can't wear because they're going to get muddy. And I thought this exact same thing when I went out to the beach the other day because I wore these shoes that like, I mean, it wasn't like I was like trying to like dress to impress, but I wanted to
beach.
wear these new, like running sneakers
Yeah,
that are
of
just
course.
like comfortable and new, and I like them, and
Yeah.
they would have matched the rest of what I was wearing nicely. But I'm like, not in mud. No way. Like, I wear them in mud once, and now they're just like I mean, kick her own shoes.
Yeah.
So yeah, it's the struggle is real, y'all.
The struggle is real. In fact, I'm staring down two of my felines right now. One of them is to my right, up on the filing cabinet, staring me down, like literally staring at me. And I look to my left, and the other one is staring at me. I feel like I'm gonna get attacked. It's about feeding time, so. So just yeah, that's the problem when I record the show around this time in the house. I really I need to get my studio back up and running because these animals are
For anyone
cause
who's like,
some
what time is
issues.
this? This is like mid-afternoon. I mean,
Yeah,
it's not like we're like
afternoon-ish.
recording this at 3 a.m. or something, but yeah, we're, Heather and I, we've had, life has thrown us some curveballs.
Oh
So each
yeah.
week we kind of, instead of sort of having our regular recording time, which, we'll get back to eventually, we're, this always happens like around Sunday afternoon. It's like, what can you do tomorrow? You can't do it? Okay, me either. All right, next day. All right, when can you do it? I have to push it. And,
Yeah, it's been a
and so on and so
surprising
forth.
amount of stuff. Like I'm kind of still like really surprised at how it's been nonstop for kind of like years. And it's funny how you accomplish something and you basically get to the bottom of your to-do list and you're like you feel very accomplished, and then you're like, but that just opens up a whole new to-do list because you've gone through that stuff and then it leads to that stuff. Yeah, it's just it's just life. But at least we're not God, I mean, I've been reading a lot about these articles, people dying from airplane turbulence. I'm like, what?
Wait, what? What are you
Yeah,
talking
like
about?
just like all these articles about these really bad experiences with turbulence on airplanes. One of them was to Hawaii, which don't even want to think about that. But it's kind of interesting. I feel like the when you're referring to like this kind of erratic weather, and we just kind of came off of this pandemic, and like the universe has kind of just been thrown in this turmoil kind of thing in the last couple years for various reasons. And I just realized the other day, I had kind of fixed up my kitchen a little bit and did a little bit of tile work, and it was done very recently. And I kind of noticed, like looking closer at it, that there was a pretty major crack, like in the grout in the tile, by the base of where it connects to the counter. And the guy who came back to fix it, he said that it was probably the
Yeah.
earthquake. And I thought, whoa. And he was kind of explaining like how that would work with, it was like the connection of like the wall to the counter. But I would have never thought that it was from the earthquake. And just that, I just feel like there's these things that have happened that now that I think about it could have been maybe not a direct result of the earthquake, but it kind of set off this domino effect. And especially like living in a place like
Yeah,
this where
maybe
there's
just
a lot of
various foundational points being
yes.
just kind of thrown off a little bit to the point where like
Yep.
you're like, wait a second, like my brand new tile has a crack in it. Like, did they do it wrong? Like, what happened?
No, because the rest of it looks fine. It's kind of bizarre, but yeah, other than just sort of being mired with like long to-do lists of just stuff every week, which most of the time it's fine as long as I can get it done and I know what I'm doing. It's fine. It's work. It's life. It's the slog, and a lot of it, I don't know, kind of this unexpected education. But this week, anything to keep me from or keep me procrastinating from doing my taxes, I will take it. I can't do it yet. I'm not ready, but I'm learning a lot about solar panels is my new thing, and these Tesla batteries. We're looking into getting sort of a this I'm sure you know a lot about them, just this, sort of like the home like energy storage thing, so that if like our generators crap out or if the whole system craps out, you still have like a little bit of solar energy left to use. And so I walked around some of the properties with a guy that I actually went to college with, who's like a really like he's one of the main solar panel guys up here. And we're gonna kind of see what they can do for us. And I'm looking at like siding lookbooks because we're like having to reside some buildings. I mean, there's like terminology that, I mean, like I said, the education continues, like hardy plank and T111 and, shake shingles and all these things that that, were never really crossed my desk before. But we did do something this week that I'm totally pumped about, and it's been a long time coming.
Let's hear it.
We started our LLC, which may not be too exciting for y'all out there, but it is for me and anyone who is business oriented or has started their own company, big or small. I mean, this has been a long time coming because we've had to really weigh options, because there's a lot of options out there. You don't have to do an LLC. This just happens to be what fits for our business model. And it's exciting. And we, I wanted to come up with like a kind of a name that had some meaning, that kind of looped in maybe something from our childhood. It had something to do with my dad, because, a lot of this stuff was what he created it. So
it's his legacy.
It's his legacy. So we're calling it Apricot Lane LLC. And Apricot Lane is the street that I grew up on. I learned how to ride a bike in LG in Los Gatos. So yeah, kind of fun. I mean, it's all kind of, we're just starting out, but yeah, so like I said, with those lists, it's like you finally work yourself up to this point, and now once we do that, there's going to be a million other things for me to do. But fun stuff. And in the meantime, I did get a new toy. Sarah, you and I have been chatting about it. It's funny when I'm like, okay, got to curb the spending, and then I buy an Apple Watch. I thought we were going to not spend any money for a while. I only had one Apple Watch a million years ago. It was like a 2. And like a second generation that I got from a job that I did. And I don't know, I just like, I'm kind of in the mode for it. I'm really interested in the sleep app. I want to track my activity. I'm always misplacing my phone in the house. And, I don't know, it's been kind of a fun little gadget the last couple of days. And I kind of forgot how fun it was or is. But I know, Sarah, you enjoy yours.
Indeed. Very much so. Yeah. And in fact, when you, Heather, had asked me, like, you're still wearing your Apple Watch, right? And I was like, yeah, of course. But here's where it has almost become like this like landmine for me, is that because, yes, first of all, I love to exercise. I mean, in a perfect day, like, I'm putting in all my steps, I'm getting on my miles, I'm, crushing my calories, I am closing all the rings. And if you have something besides an Apple Watch, you know what I mean. Same idea. You have goals and you meet them and you feel good about that. And then because of some health issues, like I was kind of just sitting around. And I'm just now kind of getting out of what I've been doing for several months now, and I hate it. The Apple Watch, very helpfully, but sort of passive aggressively, will kind of be like, well, you didn't like crush any of your goals yesterday, but today's a new day, Sarah. And I'd be like, you don't know me. You don't know what I've been through. So there was like Watch a little bit of just like, well, I don't even want to put you on if you're going to act like this. But that's also something that, like, these are all settings that you can, I could have also been like, hey, I'm not going to like make my calorie count because I'm not jogging, for the foreseeable future, but I will. But instead, anyway,
it's fun. It's motivating. It's a motivator.
Yeah.
And I think it will help me motivate, because my only concern, and I was hesitant to go for it because it's just another thing you have to charge. It's another thing you have to update, and it's like, I feel like I have enough of that. And I didn't really want to add to it, but it really is it's a different experience.
Yeah.
And I'm enjoying it so far.
Oh, good.
But other than that, small regional, small potato news. This is sort of embarrassing, but there's,
right,
it's Oscar week.
Heather, this is the place.
It's Oscar week.
You have arrived.
I'm not super involved in, I watched a bunch of the nominated Best Pictures. I'm kind of rooting for everything, everywhere, all at once.
Yeah, you and everybody else.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, exactly. And I'm sure it's going to win a lot. But it's very silly. But I won this little silly regional award, and we're going to this red carpet gala up here for the Oscars. But this is just like a silly little local film award that I received, and they're going to celebrate it. and other sort of local businesses and people who have helped like make this region like a good place to film. And so, yeah, so I'm getting some local recognition award thing. And I'm going to wear some sparkly street shoes, not galoshes. And hopefully I'll come back with some photos to share with
Oh
y'all.
my gosh, that is so cool. Congrats,
It's
Hez.
silly. Thank you. Thank you.
It
But it's
doesn't
really
matter
funny.
if it's
It's like,
silly or not. If it makes you feel happy, then, that's
it's like
awesome.
regional, which is like, I mean, it's not that exciting because it's like a
Oh,
small town. But
please.
you know,
Don't
whatever.
sell
It's
yourself
it's cool.
short.
Yeah.
Doesn't matter if it's regional or national or global or, some thing that they'd give you on Maros.
Yeah, it's kind of like it
You're
reminds me of
worth
the
it.
little. Oh well, thank you. I used to get these little. I entered these little drawing contests at like local like businesses and stuff, and I won a couple little trophies for these drawing. Like when I was a kid, it's like silly stuff, but it was fun. It's a good, MVP soccer, medal
Do you,
and like
do you
little
ever
things. But
like, okay, so these are things that you earned, right? Have
yes,
you ever like, I don't know, have you ever like entered a drawing or something that's like, why would you ever win? Like
yeah,
why would
yeah,
your
yeah,
name ever get drawn over anyone
yeah,
else's, but you do? And you
yes,
have one? Because this
yes.
has happened to me a couple of times in my life, like to the point where like this was both like when I was still like, not an adult yet. So, I didn't really know like how life worked, where I was like, I'm like gifted. Like I want like the first thing I won was a very large like a Easter bunny. And when I say large Easter bunny, it was like, I mean, I was probably, I don't know, 6 or 7. And the Easter bunny was like a 6 foot tall man. Like it was a large, like big stuffed bunny with like ears and the whole thing, wearing clothes. I won that bunny. It was like some like weird thing at, some local store.
That's pretty exciting though. I love.
Yeah, I
I
mean,
know exactly
at
what you're
that
talking
age,
about.
like every kid in town wanted that bunny and I want it, So you're like, I'm obviously like somehow gifted.
I
Because
remember
how else would
winning
I win
a
the bunny?
I won a teddy bear, kind of a similar thing, like small town Los Gatos when I was a kid, and it was this bear shop. I don't know if you remember this. It was a toy store that was it was called like Bears in the Woods or Bear in the Woods, and it was literally the cutest toy store, and everything was bears, like anything you could imagine bear.
Now, I
And
don't know if this is the same one that turned into Persnickety, which turned into a cat toy store.
maybe
But
it's like right
it was
downtown
right on
Los
it was right
Gatos.
on the main drag. So anyway,
Yeah.
go on.
Anyway, yeah, no, I mean, not that exciting, but but
Isn't it
Sarah,
though, Heather?
it's
Isn't
so
it?
exciting. Speaking of data tracking and crazy weather, I think that you probably love weather apps and wind apps and tide apps and all those like fun little random apps where you can kind of track the world around you, Sarah.
Yeah, that would be yes. That is
That would be
definitely
you.
a thing that I mean, I'm not looking at them all day every day, but yes, anytime
I
there's a
am.
new weather app, I'm like, download it. Let's see what we got.
Well, it's sort of funny too because I feel like I do look at the weather a lot, and one of the reasons why I like this Apple Watch too is I can check the weather more often. But that's our little secret, and because I don't want anyone to think I'm too obsessed. But things change all the time too, so it's sure you track the weather for tomorrow, but it could change in an hour. But one thing you can't predict, and I don't think there's an app out there, but correct me if I'm wrong, is when a rainbow will appear. I mean, you can kind of maybe roughly expect one during, you kind of feel the vibe of a rainbow when like the rain stops and, there's some clouds, but there's some rain in different sections of the sky. And then you kind of suspect maybe a rainbow but there's no app for it. So
Right.
this morning I, did my regular morning ritual, came into my office. It was lighter than usual, but it was still like it was in the 7 a.m. realm. And there was a rainbow on the horizon. And what was odd to me is that you don't see rainbows very often in the morning. And I was trying to think back, like, when was the last time I saw a rainbow? Like, first thing in the morning. It's usually like the afternoon or like, almost the evening when there's been a storm. And so I looked it up. I was just sort of curious. It was a rainbow that was right above the ocean, going kind of straight up vertically from the horizon. And according to the Google, in a bunch of different websites I was reading, it's apparently like 5% or less rainbows occur in the morning, and I didn't even think about it, like how rare they are. And it's because of, if you've got like storms, usually they're they tend to, it gets warmer throughout the day. So there tends to be more of that, the perfect amount of elements to create a rainbow. But anyway, yeah. So I called in my dude Elijah, and I brought him in here. I was like, wow, check out this rainbow. I don't think I've ever seen one in the morning. And he's like, oh yeah, rainbow in the morning is a bad omen. And I was like, what? What? Don't say that.
Well, I've heard of
Have you
red
heard
sky
that before?
and morning sailors take warning.
Yeah,
Red
yeah,
sky
yeah.
at
There's like
night, sailors
a rainbow
delight.
in the
But
morning.
I didn't like rainbows. Like I feel like a rainbow is always a good omen.
Always a good omen. But it was funny because then he was telling me, yeah, he's just like, yeah, something like a rainbow in the morning is the shepherd's warning, or like give you fair warning. There's like a bunch of rhyming a rainbow in the morning, phrases.
Yeah.
And I haven't really heard those, I don't think. I mean, I guess if you're a shepherd or you're a captain of a ship, maybe those apply. But it kind of made me think about how rare, I guess it's maybe even an extra special omen because they are rare in the morning, But I just don't know how I've lived this long and have not heard these ridiculous sayings. But I truly believe that, in my very humble opinion, that rainbows any time of day are good ones. And yeah, I don't
man.
know. Let me know if you've seen any morning rainbows. Hi at havesuchagoodday.com.
Indeed. The last time I saw a rainbow, I'm sure there have been many, in the last 5 weeks since that time. But my mom and I were driving back from not far away, but like we were on the freeway, in traffic and whatever. And, there was some weather and, there was like sort of half a rainbow, where you're like, oh, look, like a faded rainbow. Oh, that's cool. But as we kept driving sort of into the storm or maybe out of the storm, who even knows, like the rainbow got like crazier, and then it was like full rainbow, not a double rainbow, because that's even cooler, but like
That
full
is pretty
rainbow,
cool.
like wow, you can see like the pot of gold on either side. Where we're like, that's so crazy. Like this is just like, how can you not be excited when you see something
No,
like
I mean,
this?
no,
In the sky.
It's probably one of the most special, because there's a lot of cool things like being on this planet. There's like full moons, there's neat
100%.
cloud formations, there's stars. I mean, there's cool shit every day, usually. But rainbows, I mean, I don't know if it gets any better than that.
Pretty good. Had the Frank. Pretty good.
All righty.
Well, so speaking of pretty good, we would like to give a warm welcome to Dawn, who joined our Discord.
And Ron.
Not only did Ron join our Discord, but Ron said, "I want to be on the Discord, and I want Heather's lentil soup recipe," which he not only got but used to make his own lentil soup recipe, complete with photos. If you needed a better reason to get into Discord, I don't know what that would be. Ron,
There's a lot of
your
other
enthusiasm
reasons,
is very inspirational.
I know, I love it. It's totally inspirational. I'm so impressed, and yeah, the pictures were so great, and the play by play.
Like, and I was like, now I should make it also.
Sarah, you
I
need to
know,
make it. You were
I
the
know.
first
I've got
person
no
I sent it
excuse.
to, and you still haven't made it.
Well, because I'm a big old asshole, Heather.
You are. No, just kidding. Jake actually did respond about your cottage cheese. He said it's very good, and he usually has it with a pear salad, which I agree that sounds really
Now
good. I mean, I
that-
usually
that's
cheese it
fun.
with something
Yeah.
savory, but I think that sounds great too.
I think so. I feel like okay. So we won't go on and on about this because
No.
we have to wrap up.
We're gonna
the
wrap
show
this puppy up soon.
sooner than later. But I will say that like I think there's almost like a fruitcake issue that people have with cottage cheese because they remember
yeah.
like their great Aunt Mildred making like cottage cheese with like weird fruit, where you're like, oh god, no one wants to eat that.
Well, you could buy cottage cheese with fruit in it, like back in the day. I don't think you can anymore, but I remember
Yeah,
that.
I don't see that. Yeah, like
Bleh.
besides yogurt, like who's putting fruit in dairy? You know, like it's like let me do it myself. Thank you very much. But there's also nothing wrong with fruit and cottage cheese. It's just that like, it's like the bad thing that like somebody brings
It has
to
a
the
weird
family
texture.
reunion where you're like, no one wants to eat this.
I would highly recommend getting like a more of a niche organic brand, and you might, maybe you'll have a different experience, because I think you can get some like really, I don't know, maybe some bad quality cottage cheese, and maybe that like rubbed you wrong or something. Anyway,
Yeah,
we
something like
digress
that.
yet again, Sarah Lane.
We
This
do.
has been fun.
We digress,
Palindrome
but
episode, everybody.
palindrome episode 181, y'all. Look at us. Look at our little engine that could. We are so happy to have y'all.
Choo-choo.
And just a quick reminder that if you listen to the show and you're like, I like the show, these guys are great. We'd love to know how you found us. If you'd like to let us know, hi at havesuchagoodday.com is where to send that feedback. If you want to give us a nice review on iTunes, that's really, really helpful so that other people can discover the show. The big thing is we're never going to charge anybody for the show. But if you want to directly support us, because, Heather and I are just chugging along, in our little engine, patreon.com/havesuchagoodday is where to find out more about how to do that, whether it's getting on Discord and talking about lentil recipes with Ron, or anything else. We are so glad to have you. So thanks to everybody for being with us all this time. It makes our little black hearts very warm.
It really does, and less black. I would say.
Yeah. Also, I guess, charred heart would probably be
Yes.
the more
Oh, that's a
PC
good
way
one.
to talk
That's
about
a good.
it. Yeah.
Less charred.
Yes. Thank you for helping my charred little heart.
Like a
all right,
medium
well,
toasted marshmallow heart. A little browned around the edges.
I gotta
That's
say,
mine.
I don't like s'mores, Heather. That is a conversation for our next
Another
show.
time. Yes,
If
it
you
is
ever
indeed.
needed some sort of a cliffhanger, I've given it to you.
I'm writing myself a little note to remind myself to bring this up.
I just
Sarah, I'm not sure I knew
s'mores.
this about you. I think this is
I
news.
mean, I'm not like angry
news to
about
all of us.
s'mores. It's just anytime anyone's like, want to do it? I'm like, no, thank you.
No, I would say
I don't know.
I like just plain, like I like to roast the marshmallows and eat them, and I like those plain better than putting them in with chocolate and a cracker, a cookie, a graham cracker. Cookie.
Graham cracker.
Yeah, I prefer just
I could
the
feel
marshmallow
the wheels
alone.
moving. Where you're like cracker, cookie. No, it has a specific name. Graham cracker. Yes, graham.
Why
cracker.
don't they call it a graham cookie? Why are they calling it a graham cracker? Okay,
Oh, gosh.
more to talk about next episode.
Oh gosh, I completely forgot. Like I fucked this up. So again, cliffhanger for next episode. No one
Yes.
let me forget that I bought.
Writing
So
this
so
down.
we talked about. I know we keep saying we're gonna wrap up the show. I talked about how my love for eggnog, right? And eggnog is seasonal. Between Thanksgiving and Christmas, you drink as much eggnog as you want. You want to
Yeah.
spike it, great. You don't want to, also fine. Do your thing. And some people are like, I don't like eggnog, also fine. But it is seasonal. Like, unless you made it yourself, it would be pretty hard to get.
Can't buy it. Yeah.
Most of the year, but there's this, how like the alternative milk brands all have their like,
Oh yeah.
It's like the if you were a barista, it's like the barista
Yeah, like a
blend,
creamer
which is
type
like
thing.
richer kind of
Yeah.
thing. So I think it's Khalifa.
Uh-huh.
That's the brand. They don't call it eggnog. They call it like a pumpkin spice. So whatever.
How clever of them.
Yes. And it's less eggnog and more gingerbread.
Okay.
But, oh, Heather.
Is it good?
Oh, a little dollop in your espresso.
Wow. All right, I'm
This
doing that.
There is sugar,
Yeah.
so you don't want too much, but like,
Yeah.
oh, it's so good.
The creamer world is getting vast, Sarah, because I tried a new creamer
is.
that's like a superfood creamer, and it's like vanilla, and it has like all the fancy mushrooms in it and like the superfoods. It's like, oh boy,
Yum. Wow, you're
It's
really
just-
selling this one.
it doesn't taste like mushrooms. It tastes like vanilla, tasty,
mushrooms,
creamy,
you know, all the things you
yumminess.
want in a cup of coffee. No, it's true. This is okay. So like, we'll put a pin in this for now. But like, yeah, I think the like alt creamer, alt everything is a good discussion for our next
is.
episode because
100%.
I've done it all.
You guys can look forward to that. You can look forward to that all week. We're going to talk about
Yes,
alt
yes.
creamers. That's how exciting
Oh, on the
our
seat
show
of your,
is.
on the seat of your pants.
Yeah,
What's
the edge of your
on
seat.
The seat of your bench.
Seat of your pants, edge of the seat.
No, we're wrong.
Fly by
It's
the
not-
seat of your pants. No,
Seat of your
that's like
pants.
being
Yeah,
spontaneous.
yeah.
Okay.
Sometimes I say things and I'm like, I don't know if this
You're
metaphor
mixing your metaphors,
works.
Sarah.
Yeah, I know. It wouldn't be the first time. All right, y'all. Well, listen, thanks for being with us. Episode 181, palindrome episode. Always a special one. Is
Very
in
special.
the can. Until we return, I will remain Sarah.
And I will remain Heather. Be sure of that. Have such a good day.
Bye-bye.
Please stay sexy.